For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Tai Harrow and I am an indie author, and right now I have a YA fantasy novella out, as well as the final edition of my poetry book called Older. It's the back cover, and yeah. I've been writing for a while now, but I've only just kind of gotten back into it. I was going through a long, bout with my mental health, and I'm back. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. It has been a while since I've posted. It's been like 5 or 6 months actually. But I figured I would make myself a little comeback slowly. So I wanted to start this with a work in progress novel tag. So I'm going to answer some questions about the work in progress that I'm working on right now. The working title is called Impossible Eyes. And it's a YA novella, just like my last one, but this one is a different genre, and this one's going to be a psychological paranormal thriller, if that makes any sense. And I'm super excited about it, and I will explain in a moment kind of my other projects. I also have Swan of the Night that's been put on hold for a while. Phases I'm still working on, but that's a full-length novel, so that's, and then this one is my primary focus, just because I've noticed novellas just kind of come to me very easily, and I just kind of, I don't know, there's less pressure, I think subconsciously for me, and I think that like actually impacts my writing a lot. But yeah, so today I'm going to be doing the work in progress novel tag. I'm going to put the questions below in the description in case you guys want to do this video for yourselves. And yeah, I'm going to answer some questions about my psychological paranormal thriller, Impossible Eyes. So the WIP novel / novella tag. Question 1, what is the title and genre of your WIP novel / novella? I kind of gave this away already. It's a paranormal / psychological thriller. And right now the title is Impossible Eyes, but that's subject to change as of right now. But I'm liking it so far. It's growing on me as the story's kind of progressing. So I think I'm going to keep it for now. But Impossible Eyes. Question 2. What inspired you to write the story, idea, or concept? Ooh, okay, so I was actually inspired by a friend of mine. We were at a bar, and we were all kind of just like bouncing story ideas of just like, silly, things, I guess. And I am not the biggest fan of indoor cats. It's just my own thing. It's not good for the environment. Obviously, if, they've been out there for their whole life, etc., don't change their complete way of life, quality of life, etc. But anyways, they just do damage to natural ecosystems. And we were at this bar, and someone was telling me about their outdoor indoor cat, but like this cat was very old. And the cat would like go around to the neighbors' yards and steal their little the hair bands, or like the girls who lived by this friend's house. They would always leave their little like hairpins and like hair accessories in the yard. They were maybe like young, but her cat would always go over there and like steal them. So for some reason I was just inspired by this concept or this idea of a cat like spirit, maybe not even necessarily like a good spirit, you know what I mean? But I wanted to tackle this idea of a cat bringing gifts, but in not the most loving way, if that makes any sense. So I was kind of inspired by that. Spice or no spice? No spice. It's not a romance. Question 4, does your WIP novel / novella take place in the real world or elsewhere? As of right now, it's the real world. But technically, since it's a little bit paranormal-ish, I wouldn't classify it as fantasy, but like I said, it's paranormal. Like there are aspects of this cat entity that are slightly paranormal, if you know what I'm saying. Question 5, is your WIP a standalone or a series? Right now, it's a standalone. It's just a paranormal psychological thriller, I guess. Right now, my thing is just kind of writing novellas in different genres, I guess, for middle school, tween, teens, etc. I don't know, it's been a thing right now for me. I hope to inspire reading through smaller stories, if that makes any sense. They don't always have to be, big books, because that can be daunting for some people. And for me, I love big books, but at the same time, I did go through a period of my life where I struggled to read for long periods of time. those shorter kind of stories, short story books, etc., kind of helped me a lot. So I wanted to, talk about novellas a lot more. Question 6, how many MCs do you have? Side characters, question mark. Right now, I only have kind of like 3 floaty main characters. The one being, my main character, Olivia. And then her other 2, I guess I would call them side characters, but their plot is very important, is her dad's, actually. So I'm kind of loosely basing this book around my life. Yes and no, just little aspects. I do have lesbian mothers. But I wanted this character to have gay dads because I wanted to talk about that, I guess, through her eyes and, her own experience, I guess, just dealing with other people, and also just like the complexities of like their relationship as well, being fathers, raising this teen daughter, and also just dealing with like the complexities of life, all relationships, Question 7, what is the main internal or external struggle of your MC? Ooh, I don't want to give it away. But the main internal struggle, I would say, is that my MC, because, and like I said, I'm loosely basing certain like aspects of this novella around my life, because she is adopted and because she's different and she has this otherness to her, air quotes. I feel like her struggle is not even dealing with that, because to her, she's used to that. And I mean, even me, I'm used to that. But I feel like her biggest internal struggle is battle. It's literally like light versus dark, if that makes any sense. It's very Star Wars, but not really. But battling with herself. Like, the whole point, I guess, of this novella for young people, or just anyone in general, I want to talk about the idea of what happens when you're no longer the victim and you become the perpetrator, if that makes any sense. I don't know. So she deals with this level of, words. I'm just gonna say discrimination. It's a long morning. It's fucking 6 a.m. and I just decided to record this video. She gets ostracized. She gets, discriminated against. She just gets, like I said, she gets stamped with this otherness that people don't really know how to deal with or expect. So I think her internal struggle is not even just dealing with that, but dealing with not trying to become the villain, if that makes any sense. And I don't mean like morally gray either. I mean like you are now the villain. You are now actively hurting other people. You know what I mean? People that might not have even had anything to do with you. But anyways, question 7. External struggle. Yeah, I would just say her otherness, if that makes any sense. Question 8, what is your word count goal? If you don't have one, do you have a chapter goal? Okay, so The Heart of Marennar, the YA novella that I just released, actually, this was maybe like 25,000 words-ish. And it's at like 110 pages. So again, it's not huge, but that's the whole point, I guess. So I'm aiming for something a little bit longer this time, maybe something around 35,000, maybe even 40 if I can get it to that, but I don't really have a set goal as of right now. What do you hope to achieve by writing your novel/novella? Is there an overall message or just for the story? Honestly, it's a mix of both. I wanted to, like I said, wrestle with this idea of this girl and this cat entity. And like I said, kind of figuring out those boundaries. Basically, I'm going to give you a quick synopsis. Olivia gets bullied at her school and life, etc. She just feels this level of isolation. So she comes across a cat while walking home from school after a bad day, and she just, vents, I guess, to this cat, and the cat just listens, and he just watches. And I'm kind of wrestling. Like I said, I'm forming this idea that this cat is this entity almost that feeds from her what she gives it. And like I said, this idea that this cat starts to bring back gifts, but the gifts get more and more sinister, if that makes any sense, like based off of what she's telling it, and then she gets scared. X, Y, and Z. But like I said, it also kind of tackles this idea partway through the middle and strongly within herself, like I said, that like, when are you no longer the victim? When are you now the perpetrator, because now you are feeding this entity this strangeness? ideas, thoughts, etc., feelings, emotions of, you know, animosity, etc. And now this entity is almost justifying its sinisterness through that, if that makes any sense. Like I said, I really don't want to give too much away. There's a lot of interesting shit that kind of goes on in there, but that's kind of like the most basic way I can show it or say it. And question 10, do you have a cover yet for your WIP? If so, who's the artist / designer? I don't know yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to use my cover designer from last time. I really, really liked his work. But unfortunately, I don't know if he has Instagram anymore, so I'll have to reach out to him via email. I drove him nuts last time. I felt really bad. Not about the cover, but about the formatting, because I kept getting it wrong towards the end. But he was absolutely amazing. I loved his work. So I'm going to reach out to him again. I'm going to see what he can do. If not, or if he's out of business or just he doesn't want to do it, that's totally fine. If anything, I do have someone as a backup and someone who did the art, the character art for The Heart of Moran-Nar. So I might reach out to her as well. But yeah, we shall see. I don't have a cover yet, though. I have an idea for the cover, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but yeah. Anyway, so that is kind of like the basic synopsis, I guess, of Impossible Eyes. I'm working on it right now. I just finished chapter 1, actually. I'm on chapter 2. And, yeah. I haven't felt inspired by a story in a long time. Swan of the Night was doing absolutely amazing, but just with all the craziness that was going on in the world a few months ago, and even now, like, the topic of Swan of the Night was I wouldn't even say a dark romance, but it was, I don't know, I just didn't feel like putting more of that kind of scale violence in the world. I don't know. I know it's out there. I know the media exists. I don't know. I just didn't feel like continuing it at that point. Oh, and lastly, Phases. Like I said, Phases is still coming along absolutely, you know, phenomenally, I guess. Slowly but surely, but like I said, that's a full-length novel, so I really want to make sure certain plot holes get covered, certain, you know, lines and things that, you know, are supposed to line up and make sense, because that one's going to be much longer. I don't think it's going to be YA, it's going to be more like new adult-ish, but that's the one about werewolves. That's a little bit more sci-fi fantasy, and yeah, like I said, I'm still working on that project, but Impossible Eyes right now is my main bread and butter, because, air quotes, because I'm just so excited about this story. It's just something about it. So I'm gonna roll with it. I haven't felt inspired for months, so we'll see how it goes.